Hello my darlings, it's me, Elfvira, Mistress of the Light, the host with the biggest sword collection, here to tell you my list of the top 5 spookiest places in Tolkien's works. So without further ado, let's get into it, and happy Halloween. First on this list, number 5 is Ered Lomin, otherwise known as the Echoing Mountains of Beleriand. And now you'll notice at the beginning of this video I said spookiest places in Tolkien's works, not spookiest places in Middle-earth, because some of these places are not in Middle-earth, they're in Beleriand, the northwestern region of the world that existed during the First Age before it sank into the sea. So here's a map, here's Middle-earth, here's Beleriand, and here is Ered Lomin, the Echoing Mountains. Now, the name origin for the Echoing Mountains is a bit unclear, but it likely comes from the fact that this is where Morgoth landed when he returned to Middle-earth with Ungoliant, the biggest spider in Tolkien's works. You know, the giant spider that almost destroyed the world and then gave birth to creatures like Shelob and other terrifying spiders. So, off to a great start. And now, Elfvira, you might be saying, why was Morgoth screaming, crying, throwing up in this location? Well, that's because him and Ungoliant were having a little bit of a lover's quarrel, a little bit of a spat. And as they were fighting, they were screaming and yelling, and I guess the screams were just so intense and so scary and so evil that it cursed the land forever. Yeah, that's right, the screams stuck around, and they're still there. And anyone who goes in this location and makes any noise will wake up the screams. Isn't that fun? Anyways, these mountains really just echo whatever sound happens in them endlessly. So just imagine you're on a little adventure with your friends, you're walking around, and the mountains just start screaming at you, or really echoing whatever terrible sound just happened moments before. Charming, right? Next on our list is Tol-in-Gaurhoth, otherwise known as the Isle of Werewolves. And now, if my pronunciation isn't perfect, cut a girl some slack. It's hard enough being a Sylvan elf and being a valley girl. Fun fact, this place used to be called Minas Tirith. No, not that Minas Tirith, a different Minas Tirith from before, during the First Age. And now you might be saying, Elfvira, why is the lighting in this clip slightly different from all the other clips? And well, it's a funny story. So I realized during the editing process that I almost made this mistake. And then I thought to myself, I better fix that, otherwise one of you psychopaths in my comments is probably gonna send me death threats. So here we are. Minas Tirith, but not that Minas Tirith, and then Sauron took it over and it became the Isle of Werewolves. Don't you love when you learn a little bit more while you're editing a video and then have to come back later in the middle of the night and get back into your outfit and refilm? Super duper. That's why it's important to verify your information with your book before you film the video, and not during the editing phase like I did. So during the time period when Sauron was there, he used this fortress as a place to breed terrible, giant, monstrous wolves. But this wasn't enough for him. He then took fell beasts and combined them with the evil spirits of people and created, you guessed it, werewolves. Sauron himself even transformed into a wolf after his werewolf, Draugwelin, was defeated by Huan, aka the Hound of Valor, aka this very good boy right here. Overall, not the most terrifying place on the list, but terrifying nonetheless. Next on the list, number 3 is Taur-nu-Fuin, otherwise known as the Forest Under Night. This forested region fell under darkness after Morgoth's victory at the Battle of Sudden Flame. It is said that this forest held evil pathways with no moon nor sun, with evil, murderous trees waiting to choke the life from you, and dark, cold, shadowy hills where nightshade crept and lay. Oh, and I forgot to mention, it's haunted. By what, you may ask? My guess is probably ghosts. Now, this place is so scary that not even orcs dared to tread there. They would only take a very specific path through the forest because they were so scared of this place. Sauron himself even transformed into a vampire and haunted these woods for a while. This guy likes to transform into stuff a lot. And yes, vampires exist in Middle-earth. Crazy, right? Vampires, werewolves, it's a whole thing. Fun fact, this was actually after he was defeated as a werewolf. He then thought, maybe I'll try the other side. Maybe I'll try Team Edward. And so he became a vampire and then decided to go haunt the forests. He really was going through something. But yeah, overall, pretty scary if I do say so. Number 2 is Utumno, or Melkor's Great Fortress. This was Melkor's first fortress, where demons, monsters, and all manner of spooky creatures dwelled. This is also where Melkor created various creatures by twisting and deforming creatures that had already existed in Middle-earth. It is said that this land was cold and dark, with the two trees of Valinor barely being able to reach it because of where it was built, in the shadow of a mountain. And it is also said that Melkor's hatred seeped from the land, making it even more cold and freezing. Deep pits were dug far below the earth where evil fires blaze. These various vaults, caverns, and secret tunnels spanned for miles under Utumno, leading many fans to theorize that this may be where the Balrog in Fellowship of the Ring came from, and how it came to reside under Moria. And if that's not spooky enough for you, the less common name for Utumno, Adun, literally means underworld or hell, giving us a pretty good idea of how scary and hellish this place must have been. And now, number 1 on the list, in my opinion, the spookiest place in Tolkien's works, Nan Dungortheb, otherwise known as the Land of the Spiders. Nan Dungortheb, otherwise known as the Valley of Dreadful Death, was originally supposed to be a very spooky forested region similar to Taur-nu-Fuin, but through some reworks and rewrites, Tolkien eventually changed it to be the Land of the Spiders. Nan Dungortheb is where Ungoliant eventually fled to after eating the light of the two trees of Valinor. Here she made her home and gave birth to many other spiders that infested and infected the land. It is said because of Ungoliant and these other spiders' poisoned webs, it poisoned the water in all the land, so any who drank it grew in madness and despair. And now you may be asking, Elvira, how could Ungoliant have spider babies if she was the only spider? And the answer is, she wasn't. Yep, that's right, there were already spiders hanging out in Nan Dungortheb when she arrived, and with her help, they infested the place more and made it even more cursed. Whether or not you consider that a fun fact depends on how scared you are of spiders. For me, I don't think it's a very fun fact at all. And now, as previously mentioned, the reason that I think this is one of the scariest places in Tolkien's works is because of what it was originally meant to be. Something too dark and too spooky even for Tolkien. Originally, Nan Dungortheb was meant to be a forsaken land where tribes of unholy men sacrificed to dark idols and nameless gods. Shrouded and unholy were their shrines. These gods were said to be even older than Melkor and the Valar, likely similar to the nameless thing we meet at the gates of Moria in Fellowship of the Ring. You know, the spooky, weird creature that Gandalf said gnawed at the edges of the world before anything else existed, in places that dwarves didn't even dare to dwell. That creature. They were worshipping probably things like that. So, like I said, Tolkien eventually decided that this was too dark even for him, and so he changed it to be the Land of the Spiders, which I don't know if that's much better. That's still incredibly terrifying. I still think it's pretty spooky. The thought that there was an entire part of the world, an entire area just devoted to worshiping dark, spooky, nameless, forsaken creatures, I'm good. I'm out. I will never be visiting there. But let me know what you think. Did I miss your favorite spooky location? Which of these places do you find the scariest and why? Let me know in the comments below. And if you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing to my channel or following me on some of the other social medias if you want to see more content like this in the future. This has been Elvira telling you to have magical dreams and a happy Halloween. She's a hobbit, can you tell? Sauron himself even transformed into a wolf here after his werewolf Draugwilin was defeated by the hero dog Huan. It's these rolly R's. These rolly R's are so hard.